Welcome to AITS podcast on AI security. In this episode, you will learn how a hacker engages in resource development to attack AI systems. Happy learning.
Ready for a wild ride? Today, we're diving into the underbelly of how everyday tech and free-flowing information become weapons in the wrong hands.
It's unsettling, isn't it? No secret layers or supercomputers needed.
Yeah, because we're talking about cyber attacks launched with tools you might find in a tech enthusiast's basement.
It's the accessibility that's both fascinating and concerning. Think laptops, GPUs, the kind gamers use, even a Raspberry Pi.
Wait, a Raspberry Pi? The tiny computer I can get at any electronics store. I always pictured high-powered servers as the weapon of choice.
Consumer-grade hardware has become incredibly powerful, you see. And for attackers, that accessibility is a huge advantage.
I can see that. They're cheap, easy to get, and blend right in.
Exactly. Low risk and easy to overlook. Remember the Sandworm cyber espionage group?
Vaguely. They were in the news a while back, weren't they? What made them so hard to track down?
They used third-party email services, the same ones we use daily, launched a sophisticated attack, and good luck tracing it back to the source.
Like finding a needle in a digital haystack.
Oh, okay.
Now that's scary. And it's not just the hardware, is it? These attacks need to be developed somewhere.
Precisely. And that's where cloud computing comes in. It's been a game changer, but also a breeding ground for malicious activity.
So instead of shadowy backrooms, we're talking about attackers setting up shop in the cloud.
Exactly. Fast, often anonymous, and incredibly difficult to trace. And then there are open source tools.
A double-edged sword if there ever was one.
Yeah.
Great for collaboration and rapid development in cybersecurity.
But that accessibility cuts both ways.
Right, because in the wrong hands.
Exactly. Take Metasploit, for instance. It's a powerful framework security pros use to find vulnerabilities.
Right. I know someone who used it to test his company's network, ethically, of course.
Absolutely. But because it's open source, that same tool, with its library of exploits, is available to anyone.
So while my friend is building defenses, someone else could be using it to tear them down. Talk about a double-edged sword.
And that's the crux of it. The barrier to entry for attackers is lower than ever. You don't need to be a coding genius anymore.
So we've got the hardware, the software environment, even the attack blueprints, all readily available. It's unsettling, to say the least.
It highlights the need for a strong, ever-evolving defense. We need to be as agile as the attackers.
Sounds like a constant game of cat and mouse. But it's more than just tools, isn't it? It's the information, the data, that fuels these attacks.
And you'd be surprised how much of that data is hiding in plain sight. We're talking about public data and pre-trained AI models.
Now, that's a whole other rabbit hole. We'll have to dive into that after a quick break. All right, you were about to blow my mind before the break with this whole public data thing.
Oh, it's a doozy. Imagine a library, but instead of books, it's packed with personal data, vulnerabilities.
Blueprints for cyber attacks, basically.
Essentially, yeah. Attackers are getting good at navigating the sea of information to find the most dangerous stuff.
Okay, but what kind of data are we talking about? Like real-world examples?
Think about everything we share online. Financial stuff, what we do on social media, our online shopping carts.
All meticulously tracked, probably.
And often ends up in publicly available data sets, which is where the trouble starts.
Because attackers can use that to find weaknesses, build profiles for attacks.
And that's before we even factor in AI. These data sets become fuel for some seriously malicious AI models.
Hold on. Instead of searching for vulnerabilities themselves, they can just tell an AI to find the exploitable stuff.
Bingo. And AI can analyze information way faster than any human.
So we're talking about a whole new level of sophisticated attacks.
Attacks that are much harder to defend against. And get this, attackers don't even have to build these AI models from the ground up.
What do you mean? Are you telling me there's like a black market for AI models or something?
Not exactly a black market, but close. There's a ton of pre-trained AI models available online, developed for legitimate reasons, things like image recognition or...
Oh, I see where you're going with this. They're repurposing them.
Exactly. Why reinvent the wheel, right? Take ImageNet, for example. Massive data set of labeled images.
Used to train AI image recognition systems. I've heard of it.
Researchers found that this data set, intended for good, can be used to train AI to bypass security systems that rely on image recognition.
So it's not just data theft, it's AI weaponization. This is getting wild.
And we're just scratching the surface. It gets even more complicated.
You're killing me with the cliffhangers. Okay, you can't leave me hanging like that. What's more complicated than AI weaponization?
It's not just about using data, you see. It's about manipulating it, turning our defenses against us.
Sounds like we're venturing into some next-level stuff here.
You could say that. Welcome to the world of adversarial machine learning.
Adversarial machine learning. Okay, that sounds ominous. Give me the rundown. What is that exactly?
Imagine a security system, right? Uses AI to identify threats. Facial recognition for a secure facility. An attacker could use adversarial machine learning to mess with an image of their face. Subtle changes, nothing a human would notice.
So the security guard looking at the cameras wouldn't see anything off.
Exactly. But the AI, tricked by the manipulated data, would see the attacker as a trusted person, giving them access.
A digital disguise. Fooling machines, not humans. That's both ingenious and terrifying.
A good way to put it. And to really understand how big this threat is, we need to talk about MITRE ATLAS.
MITRE ATLAS. Okay, that doesn't ring any bells.
It stands for Adversarial Threat Landscape for Artificial Intelligence Systems. Basically, a giant knowledge base of all the adversarial tactics used against AI.
Like a playbook for AI warfare.
Pretty much. And it shows how much effort is going into this. One of the most dangerous tactics. Data poisoning.
Data poisoning. Even the name sounds bad.
Think of it like this. You're making soup. Delicious AI soup. Now someone slips in one tiny toxic ingredient. That's data poisoning. Except it's the data used to train AI models.
So they're messing with the AI's learning process without anyone realizing it until it's too late.
You got it. Remember the mislabeled cat images? That's data poisoning called label flipping. But it goes way beyond that. Malicious code, backdoors, biases, all sorts of nasty stuff that throws the AI off completely.
And we're supposed to trust that the AI making these critical decisions is learning from untainted data. Seems like a huge risk.
It's a big challenge, especially with how much we rely on AI now. Self-driving cars, medical diagnoses, you name it. The consequences are huge.
This is starting to feel like a cybersecurity horror movie. Is there any way to fight back?
There is. It's a constant battle, but there are things we can do. Data validation can help make sure the data used to train AI is actually clean.
Like a quality control check for data.
Exactly. Anomaly detection systems are also helpful, like digital watchdogs sniffing out any suspicious behavior. We're also seeing more adversarial training.
Adversarial training? Is that like teaching the AI to fight fire with fire?
Kind of. It's about training AI models on good and bad data, so they learn to tell the difference. Makes them more resilient.
Wild stuff. Well, we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive, from everyday tech to AI weaponization and data manipulation.
We have. It's a complex landscape, but the more aware we are of the threats, the better we can defend against them.
Well said. So, for those listening who might be feeling a little uneasy right now, and I don't blame you, where should they go from here?
The MITRE ATLAS framework is a good place to start. It's a great resource to learn more about adversarial machine learning.
Excellent suggestion. And on that note, we'll leave you with this. In a world increasingly reliant on AI, how do we make sure the intelligence we create doesn't become our downfall? Until next time, stay curious, stay vigilant, and stay safe.
Thank you for listening to this episode of AITS Podcast on AI Security. If you would like to learn more or would like to have a session for your team, please drop us an email on training@alisad.cloud. Learn more about us on our website, alisad.cloud, that is ALASAD, CLOUD.